So I will be doing a review possibly tonight, late tonight maybe, or tomorrow or something when I got some time to, just give my thoughts on the last two episodes of Dark Side of the Ring Season 5. But with that said, I want to basically come on here and say that the video I did during the run of Season 4 and going into Season 5, the topics I talked about there, well, they didn't get focused on. One topic, though, but it's getting its own miniseries starting in a few weeks, and that's the miniseries of Who Killed WCW. And it was one of the topics I wanted them to cover this season or even next season, but now we're going to get it. And I basically called it the untold stories of the fall of WCW. But like I said, we'll be getting it from the same people behind Dark Side of the Ring and Dwayne The Rock Johnson. So The Rock's going to be heavily involved with it. But I do stick by some other topics that I talked about. I still believe they should do a Bobby Eaton one. I mean, they have Jim Cornette on there, and I think Jim Cornette would be a great representation to talk about Bobby Eaton. You can get Stan Lane, you can get Dennis Cordery, I think if he's still alive. And you could definitely, as well as get some other potential talking heads, if you will, that worked and knew Bobby. You can get them into, and I think you could have a tremendous episode based on beautiful Bobby Eaton. So I still stick with, Bobby Eaton as being a topic. I still stick with Kamala, the Ugandan headhunter, Ugandan giant, as a potential topic. I mean, that's something I could look into. Not me, but that's something I think they could look into. And I think I and other people that watch the series would be totally intrigued with and want to, find out more about, especially because of what happened later on, post wrestling career and everything. And, even before and all that. So doing one on Kamala, I think would be great. You got Dirty Dick Slater is another one I think they could look into because of what's happened with him during the later part of his career. If we could find out like what happened during and in between. I mean, he I think has a fascinating story to go with as well. I also believe that, they should do one on the Iron Sheik. I think he's got a fascinating story. And of course, there's other names that have come up. Ashley Massaro is one that I think is, suitable for Dark Side of the Ring. Daphne, is another one as well. Of course, a lot of fans still want to see about Mike Awesome. You got Louis Spicoli they could look into. You got Terry Funk. Believe it or not, they could probably do one on Terry Funk. There's just a whole list of wrestlers and wrestling topics, and events that they could talk about that, haven't really been covered that much. I mean, you look at what they did with Chris Colt. That's a good example of, looking at a wrestler that not many people know about and diving deep into their life, and finding out who they were, the potential they could have had if they kept themselves sober and stuff. So they could still do stories like that too. I mean, Salamonster said it best. You have a whole, peripheral, a whole unlimited list an almost unlimited list of wrestlers and wrestling events, topics, that are suited for Dark Side of the Ring. They are suited for that. And I truly believe that some that I've mentioned and others have mentioned, would be great. Again, Bobby Eaton I think is a great topic to go with. Kamala, Dirty Dick Slater, the Iron Sheik, Ashley Massaro, I agree with that one. Daphne, I agree with that one. Those are great stories to work with. Heroes of Wrestling is another one fans would like, and the list just goes on and on. Mike Awesome, Louis Spicoli, like I said, the list goes on and on and on. And you can even talk about, Dark Side of the Ring stories of territories that, we don't know much about. You know, I think we may have gotten something on them with Tales of the Territory, but not really much. I don't know if they did one on the original ICW, which was where the Macho Man, you know, originated his career from, which was run by his father. I think they could do one on that. Correct me if they've done something like that already with Tales of the Territory, but I think they can do something like that, you know, on that character. They could, you know, they could do one on, who else could they do one on? They could do some on some of the British wrestlers in British promotions, you know, UK promotions that we know, that we've heard of and not heard of. You know, like Giant Haystacks, they could do that, you know, a story on him. You know, Haystacks Calhoun, they could do one on. I mean, they have a list. They have a list of characters and things they could do that, you know, that I think would definitely keep people intrigued and want to keep watching week after week after week. I mean, they have topics to where they could do a 15 episode season, not just a 10 episode season. You know, that to me, you know, is gold. You know, with the topics I've mentioned and others have mentioned, some of the names, you know, of wrestlers that I've met. I mean, they have a whole laundry list of wrestlers, stories, and topics they could dive into for the next, you know, few seasons, and you know, and never run out. So to me, I think the ones I've mentioned, Bobby Eaton, Kamala, Iron Sheik, you know, Dirty Dick Slater, Ashley Massaro, Daphne, Heroes of Wrestling, you know, Haystacks Calhoun, Giant Haystacks, you name it. These are just names, you know, of people that I think, and events as well, that I think people would enjoy. I think they really get behind and want to see more of. You know, and you got, you know, that wrestling promotion that always gets showcased on the Wrestling Me YouTube channel from Britain, of the old school stuff. You could talk about that one, because that's got a history. That's got a history behind it. So I would say basically the topics I talked about wanting to see last year for the upcoming seasons, I hope we still get those to some extent. You know, hopefully we'll get one on Ashley Massaro, Daphne, Heroes of Wrestling, Giant Haystacks, you know, Haystacks Calhoun, you name it. Big Daddy, maybe, if they want to do one on him. You know, you got other events they could talk about as well that we may or may not know about. You know, the situation in, how about a more recent topic they can do? The situation in Saudi Arabia, where you had a whole bunch of SmackDown stars, you know, get stuck and you had to have NXT sub in for them. That's something to look into. So, either way, to me, Dark Side of the Ring still has plenty of topics they could work with. And I hope to see some that I've mentioned, and I just mentioned here, and I mentioned previously, and others have talked about. I hope that we see them very, very soon on, you know, DOTSR. I really hope so. But let me know what you guys think. What topics would you like to see, wrestler and wrestling event and story-wise? And until then, I will talk to y'all later. Super chats are on.